So MyFitnessPal, 200 million is really an astonishing number for an application that, and I would even say like an app that sort of came out in the app boom. Most of those apps have fallen away. MyFitnessPal is hung on and maintains a thriving user base. Like, what is it about the MyFitnessPal approach that's given you guys such longevity?
Yeah, it's a great transition, from eating food to talking about food. When I started, there was, I had two passions in my life, and that was technology and food. And MyFitnessPal was the perfect marriage for both. And we're very mission driven. We're a very purpose-driven organization that really helps our users achieve their healthy through unlocking the power of food and nutrition. We've got an amazing community. We know that our use cases, it's not just about weight loss. I've talking to a lot of satisfied customers so far on this trip, and there are so many different cases that we're seeing now. We're seeing a lot of celiac patients that use our app now. 10 to 15% of our referrals are from healthcare professionals and healthcare providers that refer them to use our app. And so we are starting to canvas as wide of a net as we can in order to serve that community. There's a societal and macro gap in food and nutrition literacy right now, and that's something that our company is very motivated to help solve. And so we're very customer centric, and so we're always listening to our customers. And so one of the reasons why we have been able to sustain our position is we're always innovating and listening to our users. Our app actually started, or our business started. Our owner was told, was preparing for his wedding, and his physician told him that he had to go home, log food, and that's how he was going to prepare for his wedding. And so he was like, I can build a software that can enable that in a much more easier and intuitive fashion. And then fast forward 14 years later, and that's really the crux of our business, and we really haven't driven or veered off from that core mission.
So you mentioned that the nutritional literacy, there's a gap there. I always ask myself, like, what is it that we don't understand? What is that gap? Because I know I should have just gotten a salad for lunch, but instead I got the pastrami sandwich.
Yeah.
Do I need an app to tell me that, or where's the misunderstanding here?
I think there's one of the issues is just access to information, but also just the availability of foods that aren't considered healthy, right? And I think the fast food industry, especially in we're seeing food prices go up, and so that's changing a lot of habits. And that's where we're trying to come in and really figure out ways to engage our users in a way that's intuitive and easy to use. I always equate food logging to like flossing teeth, right? It's like we know the benefits of flossing teeth, but there's no immediate gratification from it, right? And you can also say that that's the same case for food logging. And so but nutrition is not really something that's really proliferated in terms of like the education of people growing up, and personalization is the next currency. I mean, I know that's we know personalization is a force multiplier in the tech business, but that's kind of what we're trying to get at. Is we want to increase the relevancy of our messaging and our targeting to users. In the spirit of Boston, Paul Revere, his job was to Midnight Riders, to tell as many people in a finite amount of time that the opposition was coming. It's all about right messaging, the right user at the right time. And I always use that analogy when it comes to our business.
So if somebody's using the app and they're food logging, they're obviously creating a lot of data. what then? Like, what makes it actionable? Let's assume they've gotten in the habit of doing it and they've been doing it for a month.
Yeah.
How does the app sort of deliver insights and allow them to make changes in their life?
Yeah, for every good habit that you create, it's really centered around a reward and payoff, right? There's a book called The Power of Habits. It's a great book, and it talks about a lot about positive reinforcement, and a lot of our users get that positive reinforcement from DataViz, right? It's we translate actions into actionable goals, to actionable outcomes, and we are able to create an interface that's intuitive, that people can see progress, and that's what it's all about. And it's not just about weight loss. We're expanding our ecosystem. We just recently came out with a sleep products. We just did a collaboration with Google on glucose and glucose monitoring, and we just released the intermittent fasting product out. And so, it's creating just very top of mind intuitive interfaces that's easy to understand and which people can actually see and track progress.
I feel like the market that you're in now, there's so much competition. I wear an Oura ring, tracks my sleep and rough activity, heart rate variability. But I've got an Android phone, which means I've got Android Health or whatever, Google Health, or whatever they're calling that. Apple Health is a thing for iPhone users. There seems like there's lots of these different dashboards, and few of them work across all devices, and a lot of them are very platform specific. How do you compete in that landscape where everybody sort of has a default health app on their phone?
Yeah, we've got a great relationship with the big tech partners. They understand our mission, and we do a lot to collaborate efforts in getting our message and our products out to the users in the ecosystem. We're available in I think our user spans to 180 countries. We're available in 20 different languages, so we are a global company that's global reach. And so, but it's again, how do we in the health and wellness industry, they say change is easy, but it's sustaining that change that's hard. It's like we're not biologically wired to keep this top of mind, and so that's where one of our competitive advantages is really staying top of mind, investing in products that are relevant to users at the right moment in whatever their wellness journey is, and personalization and customization and all that stuff is a key ingredient in all of that.
I imagine when the company started, I think people had one expectation of digital privacy and what the information they were putting in their phone, and some people found it creepy, some people jumped into it. Has that evolved over time? How are people really,
Yeah.
How comfortable are they providing all this personal health information?
We're seeing year over year the amount of people consenting to using their information and research increasing at a very consistent rate. Consumer privacy, it's 100% a top priority. Consistently been a top priority for MyFitnessPal. Our users, they submit their information, so we do our diligence to make sure that we are compliant in all the latest compliance laws and such. And so, but we also we've got an amazing community. One of the stats from our research is if a user is paired up with another MFP user, their engagement goes above 50%. And it doesn't matter if the user is paired up with one person or 5 person. The difference is actually marginal. They just need one extra person to be their accountability partner. And so we increase some of that comfort in usage with broadcasting our community. But yeah, we promote user autonomy. Everything that we do or collect is all user consent driven. That's how we're going to operate.
Do you hear from customers that they want to take this data and share it externally, either
Yeah.
obviously with other users, you've got the community built in, but with their doctor, with their
Yep.
other places?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, 10 to 15% of our referral traffic is from healthcare providers, and so we, my 16-year-old nephew, he's starting to play football, even though I'm kind of encouraging him not to. But he says, "Hey, my doctor just told me to download the app and bulk up and gain some muscle mass." And so, but one of our features is users can export their data. You see a doctor 2 or 3 times a year. You want to be able to keep track of your record, of your health and nutrition intake and things like that, and we do enable users to export their data and share with their dietitian, registered nurse, or whoever the health provider is. And so yeah, there are features in there that allow you to do that.
So I hate to be so predictable, but how is MyFitnessPal going to incorporate AI into future products?
Well, right now we're kind of doing that with MealScan. So we have recently launched some proprietary technology in which a user can take their camera of the Philly cheesesteak and snap it, and it'll surface that you are eating a cheesesteak that's X amount of grams, and it's something that we're going to keep improving. But ChatGPT, all the AI, all that stuff, that's coming down the pipeline, and it's something that we know is going to enable our technology to make our products better. It's not something that we're going to compete with, but it's something that we're trying to embrace right now, and constantly exploring. There's all kinds of opportunities in that space, but we want to make sure it's the right strategic fit.
So how long before do you think that image-based AI will be effective enough to literally take a picture of the cheesesteak, do an image match, and then I guess figure out the volume of food that's in the picture and come up with a caloric load?
Well, we're doing it right now. So if you actually download the app and use our MealScan product, you can actually do it right now. Now, it is machine learning, so it's going to require a lot of data inputs to improve accuracy and things like you mentioned, serving sizes and things like that. And really, our mission is to make food logging easier. We know it's not something that's on the top of everyone's list, some people's list. We actually have a very avid community. But for Gen Pop, it's like anything that we can do to add convenience, speed, and time and ease of use into our products, especially when it comes to our core competency and our core action of food logging. That's we're gonna commit to it.
I think I talked about we know what we're supposed to do, we just don't do it. I think one of the gaps that you help shine a light on is that I don't think most people do know how many calories they consume every day.
Yeah.
Especially when you factor in soft drinks and alcoholic drinks, and like your total caloric intake could be way different than what you thought. You thought you didn't eat a lot today, but it turns out you took on a ton of calories.
Yeah.
And I think that MyFitnessPal, what's cool about it is that you actually help expose some of that.
Yeah, and it's on the flip side of that, sometimes you don't eat enough calories, and so it's like a nice bonus. It's like, yeah, I get to eat that piece of pie at the end of the day, right? But yeah, that's our number one use case, right? Is calorie tracking, and our mission about nutrition and food literacy. That's 150 calories in a can of Coke, and you consume it very subconsciously without knowing that's almost 10% or 5% of your caloric intake. And so it's not just calories as well, carbs, net carbs, high protein. There's so many use cases of why people use us, and we're trying to make sure we cater to as many of those permutations as we can.
So in terms of the difficult thing about nutrition is that these fashions and fads keep coming and going. Carbs were awful for years.
Yeah.
Now they're sort of okay again. Like, what trends have you seen, sort of what consumers are trying to create as the ideal diet?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. You know, there's a lot of you know, obviously, you know, the keto diet, the paleos. I mean, that's definitely a very popular use case. Intermittent fasting is starting to increase in popularity. You know, high protein, lean meat diets, vegetarians, vegans. That's starting to come up in our use cases, and so it really honestly depends on the year. It's, you know, one year it's all about net carbs. One year it's all about high protein. So it really varies.
Do we have any questions in the audience for Peter about fashion? Yeah, up front.
There's data that Walmart was saying their sales are down because of the increases of Ozempic. Are you guys noticing, are people being more mindful of their using anymore, or are they using less?
That's a great question. You know, I think the habits are changing a little bit. You know, there was a study in I think it was McKinsey or Deloitte where, you know, people after the pandemic era are prioritizing health and wellness in all their purchasing decisions. We haven't really seen a change in, you know, the type of foods people are submitting. You know, actually, you know, a large percentage of our audience log the same foods every day, and so I think the change we are seeing is, like, you know, people going from like name brand to private brands. You know, instead of you know, things like they're finding out that, hey, you can get the same amount of protein in a cup of lentils versus, you know, eating 2 chicken breasts, and so, like, it's, you know, eating lentils is cheaper than buying lean meats, and so we are seeing changes in kind of some of that consumer spending. But, you know, it's interesting because, you know, the weight loss medication, that's all about the instant gratification, you know, you know, consumer behavior that we're seeing. And food is medicine. I think, you know, that's part of our mission to really drive is, you know, we're seeing more and more companies. I think recently the White House administration made food as a service available for Medicare expenditures, and so people are starting to see the power of food. There's still a gap in there, and hopefully we can fill that. But in terms of medicine, you know, we keep an eye on it. It's not something that's part of our core business, but we absolutely have to monitor the ecosystem to make sure we stay on top of it.
On the right.
Are you seeing any carbon awareness coming into food? Just making comparison to carbs and carbon footprint of those two things is drastically different. Are you seeing that users are more aware, more vegetarian,
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think most of the usage is based off of a nutritional basis. I mean, we're seeing a lot in our, you know, restaurant partners that they are being a lot more you know, mindful of that type of offering, and because we have one of the world's largest food databases, and that's definitely a factor in kind of the opportunities that a lot of our restaurant partners are trying to proceed with. But yeah, I mean, I you know, obviously, you know, in our research, we are seeing a lot more eco-friendly behavior in our younger generation. It's not necessarily a factor in what a lot of them are consuming. I think it's mainly based around the nutritional element, but it's definitely something that we're seeing in the marketplace.
That'd be a fascinating layer to add into
Oh,
your
yeah.
database.
Absolutely.
The carbon footprint of your steak.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
a bowl of lentils with the same protein content.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That'd be amazing. See more product ideas coming out of Accelerate.
Yeah. Write that down, Nick.
Other questions? I didn't look over here. Yeah, up front.
So how is your database different than like any other database? Your database is one based on?
Mhm.
Because there's like the USDA database and the, I think the certain database, I can't really into it, but
Yeah, we have a combination of public databases, FNDDS, but a lot of what we do is also crowdsourced, and we have a team of curators that actually go through a lot of our crowdsourced data. We have a subject matter expert, registered dietitians that kind of go through a lot of the submissions, and they actually import that to our database. But we also have partnerships with importers and food providers that do provide the food database for us. And so it comes from a very variety of different sources.
Yeah, I've always been impressed when I log in and I start looking for chain stores. Like
Mhm.
all the food in most chain stores is in there and logged, ready to go. But even some of the smaller shops in
Yep.
New York City, where it's like somebody else with the app uploaded this sandwich.
Yeah.
And all the caloric data, and I'm like, how could that be possible?
Yeah.
I guess that's what 200 million users can do for you.
We also have a featured barcode scanner in which a lot of our users scan globally, and so and so a lot of that information is also kind of input into our system as well. But yeah, no shortage of inputs of food per day, for sure.
Well, Amy, go ahead.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, I'm curious. What's MyFitnessPal doing or thinking about doing in terms of food scarcity, food equity?
Yeah, we're focused on the literacy aspect of it, and we recently did a partnership with the White House Conference of Food, Hunger, and Nutrition, and we want to increase the education in food insecure areas and communities, and so we are offering our app and our premium services in those areas, and so it's definitely top of mind. We do want to contribute to a better society, but through that literacy, but it's. We think if we increase the education, maybe that'll help, educate folks more on what they can then take and kind of what will help them in terms of longevity. So that's kind of where our stance on it.